It's going to take a few minutes now to go through some work with the chi ball. A lot of the B2B Pilates people do have these in their possession. This is an Australian product called Chi Ball, and it's a great little product because it's self-inflating. So this is the ball where when it's fully inflated, you take out the little pin, take out as much air as you require, which with the different exercises, sometimes it's better to have a little bit deflated, sometimes it's better to be fully inflated. You can play around with this, so it's really what suits you and your body type on that, depending on that exercise. And then if you need to inflate it again, just simply take the peg out and it'll come back to life like that. So this is just a little video for you to have some time with the chi ball, playing around at home on a daily basis, just to enjoy that release of excess fascial tension and to get familiar with using this little piece of equipment. So we're going to start just coming into supine, lying on our back and placing the chi ball directly under our pelvis here, right into the sacrum there. So just below our lumbar spine, our lower back, into the sacrum here, which is the hub there connecting the hips, the pelvis, and allowing our whole body just to rest down here into the chi ball, relaxing the back of the arms and the shoulders as well. Knees hip width apart and feet just evenly grounded to the floor. And just take a moment to really allow your body to let go, feeling the back of the body gently pressing into the chi ball, connecting with the mat below. Let's just check in on those shoulders. Just a little squeeze of the shoulder blades in towards each other. Press the back of the shoulders down into the mat, the arms as well. I like to rest my hands on the points of the hips here. And starting with some pelvic tilt. So a little breath in, a little breath in. You can take a big breath in if you like. Breathing in through the nose and finding a little tilt of the pelvis forward. So here we feel the lower back, the back of the hips wanting to lift away from the chi ball, shortening in the lower back. And then as we exhale, tucking the pelvis under, lengthening the lumbar spine, drawing the belly muscles in. Inhale, tilting forward. And exhale, tilting back. So as you're working through this movement, scanning your body and what it's doing. So we're starting with a pelvic tilt. We're looking just to move the pelvis forward and back. It's not a big range of motion. We're using the squeeze of our lower abdominals, the lift of the pelvic floor to help control the movement and the stability of the pelvis. Therefore, the legs are relatively still. So if the knees and legs are moving around, perhaps reduce the range of movement through the pelvic tilt. Feet are evenly grounded here on the mat. We're feeling the back of the hips just nice and connected down into the chi ball. These chi balls are rather strong, so if you have any uncertainty about them supporting you, please don't. Let it go. The best benefits are going to be received from being able to do that. The back of the shoulders and the arms are nicely grounded down. I constantly have to check in because my shoulders want to roll forward. It's important to keep the chest open, the top of the shoulders long, the back of the body grounded. And then just a little dip of the chin towards the chest plate here to ensure that we're long through the lower back. One more in each direction. And then resting the pelvis in a neutral position here. Once again, the body weight evenly pressing down into the chi ball, back of the shoulders as well, feet evenly flat to the mat. So coming into side to side, so it's a tilt a little like the old-fashioned scales. Starting on the left hip, we press the back of the left hip back down into the chi ball, the point of the right hip pointing up, and then back to centre, using the squeeze and lift of the pelvic floor, lower abdominals. Over to the right, pressing the back of the right hip down into the back of the chi ball, point of the left hip poking up, with control coming back to centre. Breathing as you tilt. Breath out, coming back to centre. So the range of movement here, you will notice to be able to maintain still legs, shoulders, back of the arms grounded down, control and stability coming from the belly is that the tilt is a lot more subtle side to side than it is forward and back for most of us. We're very accustomed to working in the sagittal plane, meaning that tilt of the pelvis forward and back, front and back movement, side to side. Coronal plane is a little less access on a functional day-to-day basis. So building this strength, stability and mobility with control is good to pay attention to. Keep checking in, the legs are still, the shoulders down. I keep saying that because I want to roll forward. A squeeze through the lower abdominals, a lift to the pelvic floor. And then just one more on each side. And then bringing the hips to centre. Taking the ball away. And then just allow yourself to lay flat here on your back. Enjoy that feeling. It's almost like the hips have hollowed out. Coming over to the hip now on the left side. So we place the ball just under that left hip. So it's not in right to the centre of the body. There's about half of the ball sitting under the hip, half sticking out. You could let some air out here if it just feels too uneven. I'm quite enjoying the full inflated ball. And then just tucking the pelvis under here. So we're creating length in the lower back, little press the back of the hips down both evenly into the ball and the back of the mat. So it's important not to feel the grip and hitching that left hip up, but allow the ball once more to take the weight with length in the spine. Little squeeze of the belly, shoulder blades back down towards each other, arms down to the mat. Coming into bent knee fall out. So breath in, the leg comes out, and you're pressing down the back of the hip over the ball, strong belly, squeezing the leg back into centre. Breath in as the leg falls out. Breath out, leg back to centre. So doing another body scan here. Once more, we're just working one side here, one direction of movement. The left leg is coming out, the right leg staying nice and still. Pelvis is centred and stabilised, tucked under, so we've got length in the lower back. Now to keep or facilitate your core muscles working and holding your pelvis in this position, just a little press of the back of the hips down into the mat. And I often think of that gentle squeeze through the lower abdominal band, bringing your ribs and your belly back into the body. Check the shoulders are staying down. Keep checking that. I do for myself. And then allow yourself to find some rhythm of breath flow and movement. Long breath in, moving in one direction, long breath out, coming back to centre. Let's just do one more. Removing the ball. And once again, acknowledging the difference here. So we'll feel like the side of the hips kind of hollowed out, like it melts away. So that's the fascia tension release here. Placing the ball to the other side once more, evening up. And you'll notice immediately that although we haven't added any air or changed the air in the ball, this feels really high, even higher than the first side, of course, because you've released that tension on one side. So you're holding excess on the other that we haven't addressed yet. Tucking the pelvis under, lengthening the lower back, draw the belly in. Legs are still stabilised, shoulders down, and inhale, taking the right leg out into bent knee, fall out, pressing into the side of the hip into the ball. Exhale, drawing the knee back to centre. Breath in, leg comes out. So if I'm working with a body part that's less stable, so this side is probably a little bit more stable, but where I know that I have to watch myself, every time I go into the movement, I cue myself. So I tuck the pelvis under, pull the belly in, shoulders down, stabilise the leg, then go into the movement. And sometimes, depending on where my strength and stabilities are more vulnerable, I can do this with every single movement. And this is the benefit of slow training, is really recognising what your body's doing and owning it and making any adjustments where it may be more efficient. Just one more, coming back. And then removing the ball. Let the hips be nice and flat to the back of the mat. Enjoy that for a moment. Just bringing the chi ball under the shoulder blades here. Just go carefully here. It's nice and gentle using the chi ball as opposed to, say, the roller here. But if you do have inflammation, be kind to your body. So resting the chi ball right in between the shoulder blades and supporting the head with the hands, a little press of head against hands. Once more, lengthening the lower back as you scoop the belly in, tucking the pelvis, taking a breath in. On the exhale, we lift the chest away from the ball, a little press of the hips back down into the mat, squeeze of the belly, and then lower. Now you might just come back into a neutral spine. If your back likes the extension though, bring the spine up and over the ball. Keep the head supported, a little press of head against hands, and then back into the chest lift. So you've got that load there, so it's quite strong up to neutral. Breath in, exhale, coming into a lift, chest towards the thighs, back of the hips down, squeezing through the belly, and then exhale, rolling back down, either to neutral or back up and over. And we'll just do one more, coming up to neutral if you've gone into extension. Squeeze and lift. Remember the lower abdominals. It's like a handle here pulling your body up, back of the body pressing down. Take a breath in, exhale, rolling down. This is just a little session, so we're just going to do that many. And coming off of the ball, again removing the ball and let your back be flat into the mat. And notice how much that's opened up. So you can do a similar exercise. For the sake of this short video, I won't do it today, where we have the ball under the shoulder blade in the same way we did with the hip, about half the ball coming out and just under that's the scap there, and into arm arcs as so. And I'll go through that another time, but if you've got the time, that's another one to do. Just keep the shoulders down. Because you're lifted, they might want to roll forward. It's important to draw the shoulder blades back into each other. Otherwise, you probably won't feel it as effectively as you did with the hips. Just coming into bridge, arms to the side, relaxing the back of the body into the mat. Take a breath in, exhale, tilting the pelvis, and just to the point where the hips want to leave the mat. Draw the belly in, a little squeeze through the knees, shoulder blades and arms down, chin dip towards the chest. And then exhale as we continue to peel up out of bridge. So a squeeze of the ball here, kneecaps are reaching away from you, lifting through the hips, opening here through the thighs, drawing the shoulder blades in towards each other. Check the feet are evenly grounding down into the mat, and the backs of the shoulders and arms are also. Breath in and exhale, rolling down. As the hips are about to hit the mat, lengthen the tailbone towards the heels. And holding it there, bringing the knees up towards the chest. Taking your fingertips under the knees. Floating the legs back up into tabletop. Tuck the pelvis under, a little press of the back of the hips, lower back into the mat. On the exhale, come up into a chest lift. Take a breath in. And then exhale, rolling up into seated. Bring the feet down to the mat and sitting up nice and tall. Just to finish off, a little curl through the spine, sitting up tall. Take a breath in, exhale, tilt the pelvis, scoop the belly in, rounding the spine, bringing your chest forward, and then tilt, lengthen through the spine, sitting tall. Just one more breath in. Exhale, tilt, scooping through the belly, chin to chest, creating a round spine, keeping the roundness here. Bring the chest forward, and then exhale, tilt, lengthen through to the crown of the head, sitting tall. So that's take one of working with the ball. Lots and lots to do, but that's just a good daily routine that you might want to start getting into.